Hello Facebook and good evening from Antarctica in Melbourne. I'm kidding. It is freezing down in Melbourne, guys, but you know, we are blessed with the warm hearts that we've met along the way. So if you're out there today on Let's Talk About Ice show, give us a holler, say hello. We are blessed to join you tonight. So I am so excited to share tonight's show with you. It's been an incredible day. We've been out to Leongatha. We've had some of our presenters educate in one of the Christian schools down there, and it was an absolutely blessed day. And it was a long drive from Melbourne City. It was like 2 hours each way, but it was definitely worth it. Those kids that were listening to the presentation, I think it was year 7, 8, 9 and 10, they got a lot out of it, and the principal and the teachers were really blown away by the information that we were able to share, and we had lots of hugs at the end, which was awesome. And we got to experience Leongatha and see that during the day, which was lovely. So we're back down in Melbourne City, and we've been talking to people in Melbourne, and we're bringing together volunteers for the city, for Victoria. So if you're out there and you are in Victoria and you're wanting to help, we're not doing a call for presenters. We have 9 amazing educators that are ready to go and have started educating in schools down here. But we are calling out to people in the community who are community-minded, parents, family members, people from Rotary clubs, Lion clubs, community centres. We're putting a call out to you today in Victoria. On Friday at 7 p.m. we are going to be having a meeting. All the details will be on the Facebook page. It's been put up today. For all leaders in the community who want to be a part of the change. We're here to put the freezer on ice in Victoria, and we're calling out to you today. Please let us know whether you want to attend. Send us a private message. We've already got a few people wanting to attend. We're going to let you know about what our plans are for Victoria with Australian Anti-Ice Campaign. We're ready to start rolling out in the schools, and we're really excited about doing that. So if you're out there and you want to get involved, you want to help us put the freezer on ice, because this could be your child, or it could be your parent or your loved one that's going to be affected next. And how do we stop that? Well, we believe that education is the key. That if we can tell you and show you what ice is and what it does to you, and some of the long-term effects as well, we believe that prevention is better than cure. So we are educating high school students from year 7 to 12. We also do work in prisons and child safety, and in hospitals and in workplaces as well. So is your workplace protected? Once ice gets in there, you'll find theft, lack of productivity. So we are doing workplace health and safety presentations as well. So we're letting Victoria know we're here doing work on the ground. You have 9 amazing educators on the ground, and we look forward to rolling this out. So if you're out there, 7 p.m. Friday, we are having a meeting for all of those people that want to get involved and help. So we need your help. This is a community problem, and we need the community's involvement in this. We're not going to solve this alone. Okay, so tonight, do we have people over there saying hello? Yeah, awesome. Sending all my love from freezing Melbourne. Look, I've got a skivvy on. And of course, we have our Not Even Once t-shirts.
Big jackets.
T-shirt. Yay!
With a jacket, because it's cold.
Guys, let me introduce you to this amazing person sitting next to me on the couch. We are so blessed to have her as part of our Australian Anti-Ice Campaign team and family. And this is Anthea. So I want you to give a round of applause. Anthea, you can clap too. We are really blessed to have her here. We've followed Anthea's story from last year. We've put lots of prayer and into her and her family, and we're blessed to have her as part of our family now to help other people who are in addiction to come out. But she's blessed us by allowing us to hear her story. So we're sitting on the couch, and I said, "Look, would you share your story?" And she said, "Of course. Anything to help somebody out, not go down the same path that we had to go." So we are really blessed to have you here today and have you part of our team.
Thanks.
So
it means a lot to me too.
Yeah, thank you. If you just give her a shout out and send her some love, guys, that'd be awesome. Lots of love hearts coming out so that she can see that later. She's an amazing woman, and she's got a beautiful heart to help people who are entrapped in ice addiction as well. So Anthea, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Am I going to be smacked for asking now?
No, I'm 24. I'm 24. I'm 25 this year. So
wow, cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, how long were you entrapped in ice addiction? You look fantastic now, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, that's taken some hard work, and I was taking ice for 8 years. That's the truth of it, and so 8 years. Yeah.
Wow. So how did that make you? So I'm not really good at counting, but like 16 or 17?
17,
wow.
17, yeah, 17.
Who introduced you to that?
So I would have been 17 going on to like schoolies or whatever, and everything kicked off from there.
What happened? What, somebody at schoolies just give you
So
some
I planned a trip with me and my friends, and I didn't go with my school friends. I decided to bring my own group up there that I had met outside of school, and I was already using different drugs at the time. So yeah, I took me and my friends went there. We had an older guy with us, and he actually, it was his idea to get the stuff, and we all agreed that we were going to try it. So that's how it all happened. And so we went over there, and we organised it, and this was my first time, so it was a bit it wasn't scary. It was just like, I'm just going to have a good time, and that's what's going to happen. I'm on schoolies, I deserve it, I don't care what happens sort of attitude. And by choice, of course, by the time I knew it, I was just sitting in a back room at a house, and we had this back room to ourselves, and we made it a drug room, quite frankly. So I just remember being around a table, and we were just passing this pipe around. I didn't know what I was doing, and kicked off from there. But I remember just having it, and it was, for me, it was just like, wow, I never had confidence as a person. I really struggled with, an eating disorder all my life. So I was like, wow, okay, you give me confidence, and you do that too. You do the second thing. I was like, wow, you do a lot of things. That's what I was thinking in my head, and it was just so powerful in that moment. At the time, that was sort of when ice did flood Melbourne. So the purity of it was actually really strong as well, and it just hit you hard. It hit you so hard. I just remember being up for 5 days of schoolies, and I don't really remember much, but I do remember just because I had been awake and just sleep deprived, and I hadn't had food, and it was just my body wasn't used to this at all. I hadn't taken something so strong before. I remember seeing red around me, and I really believe that something changed from that night. I believe something definitely took hold of me, or per se, from that night, my whole life just tipped over. The person I was no longer who I was going to be. And it was just insane, I would drive off my face, and it just really kicked off from there. And everything does, you try to put the pieces together. Everything's really vague. You do a lot of things to your friends and family. So that's how it started for me. And
I can imagine. It sounds horrific. I haven't been there. I kind of get where you go.
Of course,
how the first time, and it does take you into a different dimension. And it's a dimension that it's almost like another realm of existence. And you become something that you're not. So I can comprehend that. And did you know it was ice when you first were introduced to it?
Obviously, I knew what it was, but I didn't have. What I didn't have was I knew it was ice, but I didn't know what was in ice, or I didn't know much about it. All I knew it was like speed. That's what I was told, and boom, I had no hesitations to try it. There was there was not much knowledge behind it. I think after a few years, obviously using it a little bit more, you start to gain that knowledge, but not at the start. It does rob you of your innocence.
It does, and by then, when you're using a little bit more, the frontal lobe of your brain takes, it's frozen. You don't have control of that logic, rational decision making anymore, and very, very quickly the drug becomes in charge of you, and you need it like you need air. So even though you might find out, it's got certain chemicals in there, you kind of don't really process it, and you just keep taking it because that's what you need the very next time. So,
absolutely.
So how quickly, would you say that you got addicted?
Straight away. I wasn't even realising it, to be quite honest. you know, it was just a high that I just kept wanting, and I kept chasing it after that. And time went so fast, you know. By the time I knew it, I was, you know, 19, and then I was 20, and I was kept going, you know. It was just this big roller coaster, and you know, in between those 8 years, I did try to get my life together. But the thing is that somewhere deep down me just never wanted it enough. It always just thought about doing it, or it was always in the back of me, you know. And maybe I wasn't ready to give it up, and maybe I had to go through a little bit of more things to really learn my lesson in that. But yeah, it was just I really just craved it. My body just wanted it and needed it. I thought like I needed it to function sometimes. I thought I needed it to be myself. I thought, you know, all these things, that it made me look better. I thought, you know, I thought it came with the whole package of things that I needed to be as well to fit into society. So it's very damaging.
So, Anthea, were you working at the time, or going to school, or what was your life like? Like, after you went to schoolies and you came back from schoolies, and you know you kept using, right? So it was the same friends that you went to schoolies with? Or did you find people?
Eventually, I think over the course of time, so everything was robbed of me. Like I did try to attend courses, but they were always unfinished. I couldn't finish anything. I couldn't complete anything. So, you know, here I am with not many qualifications, but at that time, basically like, or wanted to just live a party life as well. So I did leave school. My dreams were taken off me. I didn't have any direction, you know. And when I thought about doing things, I just thought, I don't want to fit into normal society anyway, you know. So my perception of life at the time was really warped as well. So it was just wanting to do what I wanted to do, and what I thought was fun, and what I thought was, I don't want to like do what everyone else was doing. And it was really immature sort of thinking as well.
But I think that, you know, a lot of teenagers go through that in life, you know, where they want to rebel, they want to do what they want to do, and they think, you know, well, I've seen other people do some drugs and it didn't kill them, you know. And you know, the truth of the matter is that, you know, you're a small percentage of people that actually get through ice addiction and come out the other end. That, you know, most people that embark in ice addiction, they actually don't get off ice, and if they do, they're severely damaged. You know, the end result for ice addiction is, honestly, it's three things. You're either going to end up in mental health institutes, you're going to end up dead, or in prison. So, you know, that is the end result, and only a small amount of people actually come out the other side, and you've been blessed that, you know, you really have.
Absolutely.
And we take that on, you know, we take that, you know, with both hands, our recovery, and we embark on that and use it, what we've been through, use it to warn others on the dangers of ice. So Anthea, so if you were, you know, holding courses or work or anything, what happened?
I just lived a life of just being, how do I say it, just living the high life, really. Like, you know, I was living in hotels for a while and in and out of them. And obviously you do criminal activity, and that's just what you're doing. The people I was around were always a little bit older. They were never really my age. So I started to meet older people down the track, sometimes 15 years older, sometimes too much older, you know, and I was very vulnerable as well. You know, within the 2-3 year mark, I was still learning certain things that I didn't really have behind me, you know. I thought, okay, I'm taking drugs, I want to have fun, but not everybody around me wanted to have fun. And the reason is because these people were on it for a much longer period of time. So, you know, there's people out there that do trick you, and there's a lot of lies that happen. You know, nobody's ultimately your friend, you're just there for the drug. And so obviously I'd go on little ventures, and I'd be doing jobs for people, or I'd, you know, have to find ways to support my habit, and that can lead to disastrous situations. Because when you're up for, you know, I remember being up for like 10 days and like just living out of my car, and like driving on the freeway, and like having my eyes just like closed and going into a really deep sleep. And that's scary, because at any point I could have killed somebody, could have killed myself. And it's so selfish to think that I never thought of that. You know, but that's the recklessness behind it, you know.
But that's what happens, Anthea. The frontal lobe of your brain's hijacked, guys, when you're on ice. And you don't think logic, rational decisions. You can't process that. So the midbrain takes over. And that's the animal brain, the animal instinct.
Yeah.
It just wants the next 5 minutes of pleasure. It doesn't process, if I, drive while I'm tired, I might, kill somebody or myself. Or, it doesn't think those things. You don't think ahead. So, people go, well, how could they do what they did? Well, they weren't actually thinking. They weren't processing. All they needed was the next hit. And whatever, that instinct at that moment, is before them, they will just do it. They'll do whatever it takes to get the gear, and I'm speaking they, but I was there too, so I can understand.
Absolutely.
It's hard to understand what actually happens, but if you just imagine that the frontal lobe of your brain is not working, so anything I say to you, you're not going to process and think about. You just are in the now, and true.
Yeah.
You just do things like that. You're blessed to be alive.
Absolutely, very. And it's crazy to think that I was always. I've fallen asleep at the wheel driving and all of that sort of stuff. And just blessed in a way that not only am I alive, but I'm normal, which is amazing because once you touch a lot of that stuff, it's so. It's hard to be normal again. There were little effects that have still stayed with me, and my nervous system. When I got off everything, I'd have these. My body wouldn't sleep, or it didn't know how to rest, or it was just in such a high state of stress, and having no sleep and all of that can really get to you.
Yes.
And tension in my body and the muscle aches and whatnot, but I guess here I am now, and it's like you can come out of it. You just need to really want it with all your heart and soul, or else there's no way you're gonna ever leave something like that. But even my brother, I think, nearly witnessing, seeing him on life support because of this stuff, and nearly losing a family member like that. That was a big wake up call too, because. If my parents had to attend 2 funerals, that would have been, they would have had to attend his, but what about me as well, and then I'm attending his, but they could also be attending mine. So it's like,
that's right.
We don't think, it's hard to think rationally, but definitely by the grace of God, that's all I can say is that, there's so many people that don't ever get out of there, and you do want to do all you can for these people because they do deserve it as well. The choices we make, everybody makes mistakes, and we are all human. You can make a choice to pick up a drink, and really it's no different. But unfortunately, this drug is the devil's drug, and that's what we're dealing with. So it does become really destructive, and it robs you of everything. First it will take your car, first it will take little things, but once it robs you of your soul when you've got nothing left, that's the most valuable thing we have in this life, is our soul. That's so right. if we sell that, then what do we have, What's taken over us? And that's what we really have to ask ourselves as well. And
that is what it does. It steals your soul, everything you ever thought you wanted to be, every dream you ever had, everything that you ever thought you were. It destroys you. It really does. It's gut-wrenching, just remembering being in that place. What did I steal from you, Anthea?
What did I steal from me? Stole my purpose in life. I really forgot who I was, why I was here as a human being. You think you live in day to day, and you're not even. Every goal I ever had as a child, all the dreams I used to have, and all the beautiful and wonderful things that I used to talk about and used to want to do, always, they just left me. They weren't there anymore. It was just an empty person. I was walking around empty. So it sucked me up from everything of that. And I believe that, even through the storm and whatnot, somewhere in my heart I always believed that I'd come out of it, and I'd come out of it for a greater meaning, and I promised that when I did, that I'd have to give something back. So it's it's definitely beautiful, but it robs you of everything. If I could write a list, there'd be 1,000 things on there, but definitely my soul is the most valuable thing, and your heart, and it does give you a hardened heart in the end, because you just see so much blackness around it. And when you're around blackness, you will become blackness. No matter how much you have heart and go into something, you're going to come out the way who you hang around is who you become, you know.
That's right.
Whether we like to admit it or not. And when you're around a lot of that, how do I say it, you know, people in that world, they'll eat you inside out, basically meaning if you're a good person, it doesn't matter, I'm going to rob you, I'm going to steal from you because I need to get what I want to get. And I'm not just a victim, you know, I've done bad things to people as well, but this all just comes from the power of the drug itself.
Yeah.
And we need to just look at that. We don't need to see, as you know, we need to love on people that are in that.
Yeah.
Because that's what they need, you know, everybody that, you know, if you really think about it, if someone's lacking a connection out there, and it's a lack of love that has gotten them to where they were, to where they are.
Right.
So
that's what I was going to say. Was you know, people often go, you know, oh, let's kill all the dealers. Like the dealers is somebody like us, somebody like you, somebody like you.
Yeah.
It's just somebody that's a bit deeper and has, you know, found out how to make the stuff for themselves, and then you're distributing it to make money to survive. And before you know it, you start with one person, and then before you know it, you know. And I've heard many of the stories, you know, how they start. You don't get up one day as a teenager and go, oh, you know what? When I get older, I'm going to be an ice addict, or I'm going to be a drug dealer. You know, you just don't start off like that. You know, one thing leads to another, and many of these people that end up, you know, trafficking and dealing, you know, they're very remorseful when if they clean up about where they've been and what they've done, you know, and how can I ever take that back? Well, you can't, you know. You know, we believe prevention is better than cure, so we're going out there and we're sharing this journey with youth in schools to prevent them from picking up ever. You know, they don't understand that marijuana is laced with ice today on the streets. That you know, ice can come in tablet form and look like ecstasy being cut with ice. You know, that it can come in liquid form, put in a drink. That it's coming in pink little teddy bears, and girls are being told out there to take it to lose a few kilos. I mean, they need to understand what it is and what's going to happen, because it's life destroying. Your brother, you said, lost his life.
Well, he was he's just at the end of last year, so yeah, he was shot and he's blessed to be alive. But he survived that and come out of that. But the thing that's just, you know, he really said to me that he saw the end of his life, like in that moment, and then he said, I don't know how I'm here, you know.
Wow.
The ambulance just made it to him as well, which is amazing. But I think when it gets that deep, and now you're playing with your life, bullets are flying at you, and you know it's just distressing to think. But the thing is I truly believe in my heart that like, you know, you were saying about the dealers, yeah. So I think that what happens with this drug, you go deeper and deeper with it, yeah. So, you know, you'll start off with little criminal activity, but like my brother, you know, he was just so far deep, and you know, people may place a lot of judgment on that, and that's okay, yeah. But he never seen it as I'm doing what I'm doing because I want to hurt people. No, he just seen it as, this is my lifestyle, drug habit, and what I have to do. Yeah. There was no in between, you know, because it is a lifestyle as well.
And not to mention, Anthea, that the drug had hijacked his frontal lobe of his brain, so he's not thinking logic, rational decisions. He's just acting on the now and the need for the next hit, and the need for the next hit. So, you know, you've got to look at it realistically as well. You know.
Yeah, it is, and that is that's just how it is. But he's alive today, and he's good. He's clean and sober.
Awesome.
I think he values his life a little way more now. Well, I hope he would. But it is. It's good.
So how were your parents through all of this, Anthea? I know for a fact that your mum cried many tears with me before you actually came into recovery. And how's things for you now? Like, how was it before when you were in addiction and trapped in that? And now, how are things with your family now?
Like, I really have a blessed mum. Like, she just witnessed so much with me, and there's so much that has happened in between all of that she has witnessed. She's seen me when I've been 43 kilos. Like, I've come home and she would make me a sandwich, and I just think that's beautiful. You know, she never gave up on me, and like, as much as I put her through and all that hurt, you know, the tables only started to turn for me when I started to put myself in her position. I never thought about doing that, not once, because I was really just self-consumed and just like, oh, everything's everyone else's fault. It's their fault that I'm doing this and that. But I really thought deeply into it. Like, how would I be if I was her? You know, like she would have been at home just thinking, where am I? What am I doing? And you know, like at a drop of a hat, like I could have been dead.
Yeah.
Really.
That is what mums and family members are thinking out there. You know, what if they don't come home today?
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, quite possible with the lifestyle. But if you're a family out there and you have a loved one entrapped in addiction, we're here to help you, okay? We have trained counsellors and psychologists that have had lived experience on the phones, and they are there to give you some family support. That number is 0481 844 555, or you can also call 075 665 6063. So that's our clinical arm of Australian Anti-ICE campaign. We do family support on the phone, over the internet as well, face-to-face, and we can live stream into any family support groups to give you some tools to be able to help your loved ones. Because it's about not enabling but still loving your loved one and understanding what's going on for them and why they're doing what they're doing, and how difficult, you know, the position is for them as well, and being able to be ready that when, you know, your child or your son, daughter, you know, husband, sister is ready, when they're ready in that cycle of addiction, in contemplation stage, that's when you can step in and say, look, I have a plan, hold my hand, you know, and you deserve more than this. So, you know, we're speaking to families out there right now. The family support number is 0481 844 555. So that's beautiful. So now you've reconnected with your family, and
so yeah,
I bet they're proud of you.
They are. They can't believe it, and you know, I just seriously just focus on like everything that I've taken from them. I really do. I focus on giving it back in any way I can. But the best gift I've ever probably given them is just being sober. Yeah. And
being the amazing you that you were created to be.
Yeah, so it's good.
And that is, you know, just being the amazing Anthea.
I think, it's like starting a new friendship, a relationship, you know, like there's parts of myself I'm getting to know again, because it's like I have to start from being a 16-year-old again. Yep. And then there's parts of them that I've missed out on. You miss family events, you miss weddings, you miss birthdays, you miss a lot of Christmases because you're too busy for that. So, you know, all these things over the years that you miss, and it's just like, wow, you know, you could have made some beautiful memories. Not that I can't now, but I can't wait for this stuff, because I've missed out on so much of it, and it's like, wow, this is the important stuff. This is the good stuff. So they're things that I'm yet to look forward to, you know, and that's the beauty of it.
Beautiful. And how long are you in recovery now? How long have you been?
Well, it feels so much longer, but I think, you know, I've been doing this walk with God, my higher powers, for it's nearly 4 months.
Awesome.
And you know, that is still early stages, but I think actually I know that I just had to get away from it. It's just something I started to hate, truly. Every time it just got to that point, you know, you get to a point of hopelessness, and you know what, people have helped you, people have done all they can for you, and that's got to stop too. And it did stop for me, and I got to that rock bottom where I was looking around me and I was like, okay, you know what, like if this goes on for another 10 years, you've literally let the devil win, number one, and now you've got nothing. Like, who is this a person you want to be? You know, I kept having this image of myself in 10 years' time, thinking, wow, it's just going to get worse if I reach that far. So it was like, all right, you know, God, you really need to do something with me, because this can't go on anymore. So, and if he's my only hope, then that's what I was willing to tap into. You know, that's where I was left. I was just deep in the bottom, and I had been in rehab, and I had tried all those things, and unfortunately, like I said, by God's amazing power, you know, just by prayer, and I really believe he puts pulled me out of something, but pulled something out of me, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
So what did, like you talk about rock bottom, what did that look like? I mean, just so parents out there can kind of gauge, how do I know if my son is at rock bottom? How do I know? Like,
you know, you're just so disassociated, like you're disconnected, you're doing, like, in the end, like, I just had no one, you know, it was just a form of loneliness, like, when I mean disconnected as well, like, I was very, I wouldn't, how do I explain it, like, a lot of thoughts of, I guess, suicide entered my mind that I didn't tell anyone about, but it was more like, there's no point to life, like, sort of thing, and just isolating myself, not wanting to take part in, like, anything. I just wanted to be doing what I was doing, and that's, you know, but the final stages is what I say, is when you don't trust anyone anymore, so you're not even hanging out with anyone, and this is the worst part. You're doing it by yourself, you're not hanging out with anyone, you're disconnected, which means you've got no connection, you're paranoid, and it's just you, and that's probably the darkest it could get, because you're alone in your own psychosis.
Absolutely,
and, you know,
and a lot of time that comes with self-harming as well, comes
Absolutely.
into that, you know, into that prism where you're just, you know, thinking you don't want to be here, you hate yourself for where you're at, but you can't get out.
Yeah, it's just like you know, I'd imagine like me in a prison that I couldn't break out of, because I just didn't know how to. You know, always, there was something that sparked in me that I just knew, like, you're better than this, you're stronger than this, and you can achieve whatever you want, no matter when you hit rock bottom, you can always get up, you know.
And did you have like a turning point? Did something happen? Did somebody take you to rehab, or did, you know, what happened that you knew that was it? Like, what, do you remember that day?
Yeah, I do, like, it was a build up, so my thoughts were carrying on for a few weeks, and I was like, fuck, I'm just so sick of this, like, you know, I know what to expect with it, number one, because you do it for so long. I can see through the shit, yeah? So basically just being sick of being lied to all the time, because it just hurts. Like, everyone you're coming into play with is lying to you, and when you can't be bothered lying anymore yourself, like, I actually just stopped lying in the end, but I just, like, it was just like, this is all fake, I can't deal with it, I want to be, honestly, I went for a walk one day, and I prayed, like I told you that. I went and prayed. And
share it with people, because they haven't heard that story. I thought it was great.
I went on the mountain and went for a walk, and, you know, I just had things were just picking up my brain for weeks, just saying, Anthea, you need to change. Anthea, you need to change. Anthea, you need to change. Over and over again. Like,
that was the prayers coming through.
So I went and just prayed on that mountain, and, you know, I wasn't in no form to be doing that as well, like how you would think, but God takes you as you are, guys, and that's the most beautiful part about it. Is like, even though I was off my face and praying what I was, he was like, yep, I'm going to help you straight away. And straight after that, I just had this massive motivation in me, all this strength, you know. I made a day of when I was going to do it. I stuck to that day. I wrote down my habits, I wrote down my bad ones, I wrote down some good ones, which I exchanged. And from there, I was like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do it? I think God spoke to me, and he's like, you know what, Anthea, this is how you're going to do this. You're going to change your habits, number one. You're going to change your lifestyle. And I was craving a normal life. That's what I craved, I was in so much madness for so long that a normal life seemed so good to me. You know, like, doing normal things started to look so peaceful. Because I was nowhere near a peaceful life. I was in havoc all the time. I was never peaceful, you know, my soul was never in peace. I was always paranoid about something, or I had to watch my back, or had to always overthink things. But when I got into that peace state, it felt so good, you know. I was like, finally I'm home. Finally I don't need to worry, you know. Finally all these amazing things. Mum was in bed with me, and she, you know, I hugged her, and for her that would have been so sweet, you know, because, like, it was just a safe point, you know. That's what it was. It was so authentic and real and beautiful, and it was, I really can't even explain it, you know, like, but that's ever since then, and I wouldn't take it back, like, for anything. Like,
that's awesome. And you've just been powering through now, moving
powering
forward.
through, definitely. definitely. And you know, we're all gonna get hard days in life. It's just the natural. It's what happens.
Yep.
But I'm learning to just, hey, when bad things happen, I've got to sit with them. I've got to go through them, and obviously I do look to my higher power, and I always give it to him, and not run away. You know,
Right.
Don't run away. Like these problems in life, they're only there to teach you, and what they teach you can be so. Anything's a lesson or a blessing in life. You know, nothing is there to really destroy you. Nothing can break you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can only make you who you're meant to be. So even like bad things that happen, I just sort of laugh at them now. I'm just like, you know what? That's happening, but if I can endure through that, then I wonder what's around the corner.
That's right.
You know,
That's right. Yeah, and we do grow, and I've watched you grow like just over the last few months so amazingly fast.
Yeah.
And I'm sure God has His hand on you to do that. But that's incredible how you've been able to turn things around, Anthea. And it is where it's at. You've got to go, you know, I'm worth it. Life is worth it. There is so much in life that you can enjoy, and you know, having an amazing family and people around you that really care and that really want to do life together and have fun together as well. And you know, it's so important to have that around you. And, you know, you've got the ALC family here in Victoria. You know, they just adore you. You're just a little spark of light in here. And can't wait till you, you know, you've reached your 12-month mark, so we can get you out there in the schools. And
definitely. You know,
you're going to be amazing because you've been
excited.
through quite a journey, and you know, you really can't tell youth not to do something unless you've been there. You know, what credibility have you got, like, you know, to go, I don't do drugs. We've heard it all before. You probably heard drug education.
And, you know, quite often when you tell kids not to do something, they do it. You know, so the most we can do is just get into their hearts and make them feel something. You know, and give them something that they won't forget. And I think the best way to do that is to share a story and tell them, treat them normally, and not like you're there to boss them around or tell them anything other. Like, because kids are so beautiful, aren't they?
That's right.
Like,
that's right. And so naive and raw and open to, you know, these drugs that are going out there, and we really need to protect them. So we're out there educating youth on the dangers of ice and other drugs. Other drugs, like I say, are the doorway to heavier drugs, you know. And the problem with this ice, Anthea, was that, you know, initially when it comes out and it introduces itself to you, it's not introduced to you as a bad drug. You know, it doesn't look like any. It's not like a needle or a tablet. You know,
that's the thing. It's become so normalised, and that's really sickening to think of. Because guys, I want you to remember something. Like, even if you haven't had any part, you know, like you've never had no one take it around you, nothing. Just remember this: that if you really think about it, the generation below us, they're the future of tomorrow. So these kids are the people that are going to be running the world. Now, if we've got adults in the future that are all bunged out off their head, it sort of makes you wonder which direction like we're heading into, and that's the most scariest part about it. So it doesn't. Even if you haven't been affected by it, like, I encourage you to help the Australian anti-ice campaign, because this is everywhere, and it does affect somebody in some way. You know, whether you think about it or not, you could own a shop and that could get robbed because people on ice robbed it. You know, and it all links and it all entwines into one thing. So
it does. And look, you know, there's so many stats out there that we keep sharing, and it's on our website. So if you're interested in finding out how big the problem is, we do have a website, www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au. But let me tell you that over a 6-year period, last 6 years, there was a 480% increase in meth in the wastewater. So research shows that. That's how dramatically it's risen. You know, and we're hearing more and more ice-affected stories every day. You know, it might not be your child, it might be the neighbour's child, and you know, the neighbour's child, and a meth lab's blown up, or they've taken somebody hostage down the road, or they've broken in, and you know, the frontline workers are inundated. You know, that mental health professionals in the hospitals, they're just like, we don't know what else to do. You know, the problem's getting worse. You know, in Queensland, they've just hired another 400 child safety workers to take 486 unborn meth babies coming. You know,
it's really sad.
That
shouldn't even be happening.
That's just the latest stat, and the problem continues to rise. How many more rehabs do we continue to open in Australia? We've got to actually stop and go, we need to do something radical and something different that we haven't done before, okay? And what we are doing has already been proven in over 8 states in 10 years, dramatically reducing ice use in every single state from 8.8 to 2.2. It is no rocket science. We've got to take it, we've got to actually apply it, and we've got to roll out programs that work. So we're doing it, and we need your help. So, if you're out there and you think, this doesn't concern me today, what if it could tomorrow?
Absolutely.
I never thought that it was going to concern me, Anthea. I was 40 years old, I raised 2 kids, I had my houses and boats, and, drug addict? No, I was the picture perfect mum. Never in my life. Somebody gave me something to smoke that I didn't know what it was. This could happen to anybody. Is your child protected? Is your loved one protected? Do they know the other forms that comes in? Do they know what's going to happen? And we walk into a classroom and the first question we ask is, what do you know about ice? And they'll tell us it's a drug and it's addictive and it gives you superhuman powers, which I don't know about you, but I never had superhuman powers.
Yeah. More like just craziness. But
craziness and fear and delusions and
absolutely all the hearing voices and all that sort of madness, but definitely not superhuman.
And that's about all they know. And when we show them the different forms that ice comes in and what it actually does in the brain and in the body, at the end of a session they come up and hug us and say, thank you, that you were real, you showed us the truth.
Yeah.
And that's where it's at. And unless we're going to show our kids, we're not going to change what's going on out there. If this could be your child. So we urge you, Australia, get involved. And we have offices in Victoria. We are working in regional cities as well. We have offices on the Gold Coast, in Toowoomba, Brisbane, Cairns, Adelaide, and we are looking at starting offices in Sydney shortly. So if you are out there and you want to get involved, I really implore you to go onto our website and press a button called Volunteer with Us Now, and you can become involved. You might not be able to, be a presenter or work full time. You might work full time. There's so many different ways you can help. It might be with resources. It might be, you might be able to donate a laptop. You might want to help us educate one child a month. And that's $10 a month will help us educate one child. And that you would spend more on a lunch than $10. So that helps us educate one child. So we're putting it out there today, Victoria. If you're out there, 7 p.m. on Friday night, we are meeting. We are going to delegate roles, and we're going to put up some community forums throughout Victoria and help educate more youth. And thanks so much for the Leongatha crew. They have been amazing in the Lions Club there and the Rotary and the community there have come together. Robert Bacon, you're a superstar. I know you're watching, and all your team there, and Mike. Thank you. Thank you to the school in Leongatha today for having us in there. We were blessed with your presence, and the team really enjoyed the kids there today. So we look forward to rolling out more programs throughout Victoria. So this is just the start. We will be doing a media release really soon, but if you want to get involved and want to help, please get in contact with us today, not tomorrow.
Today.
So today, not tomorrow. One thing that we taught the kids out there in school, and we'll teach you here. Have you learnt it yet? Not even once. So that's the message we're giving to you. So is there any last minute messages that you want to share today? Because we don't know who's watching, Anthea. It could be somebody that may be entrapped in addiction and going, I'm contemplating change. It could be a family member going, It could be a family member going, I don't know what to do. How do I help? How do I help my child or my sister? Or is there anything that you want, any advice that you can give out?
Yeah. So if anyone out there is using, I do encourage you to reach out for help, because there is help out there and there is people that love you. You are very loved and you are worthy. And I want to say to parents not to give up on your kids or leave them into more isolation, but also try to understand that they do just need love as well. And if you keep loving on them, it will break their addiction. And I also just want to add that, you know, if you've been called names, if you've been called a junkie, or if you've been called horrible things, and you think that you can't, that's just how you're going to be, well, that's not true. You know, there's power in words, but we don't need to believe them. And I really pray for anybody out there struggling that you would reach your hand out, and we would reach out back to you and just lift you up. And just thank you for letting me share as well. Thank you heaps.
Thanks, Anthea. We look forward to working with her a lot closer within your community here, Victoria. So we'll bid you good night, and don't forget, volunteer on the volunteer button on www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au, and share this post, because you don't know who needs to hear this information and who this needs to touch. So please share it.
Absolutely.
Good night.
God bless.